Here's what we know right now. Avantae Deven is in jail, no bond, facing several charges, including murder. Investigators believe both children, Blake and London Deven, were abused, tortured, and starved to death before being dismembered and burned.
Nathan Mitchell recorded a call of an individual that he was having a dispute with. During the dispute, the individual admitted to the most horrific thing that he had ever heard in his life. It was so horrific that he thought it had been a made-up story. He recorded the person's story and eventually forgot all about the call until a couple of years later when he heard something on the news that made him remember that awful call. And he would learn the story had not been made up at all. The caller admitted to helping her adoptive mother dismember one of her adoptive siblings and disposing of the remains. In the recording, which is voice modulated, so no identifying features can be made out, the caller also reveals how the boy allegedly died. Warning, this true crime story discussed the torture and death of 2 young children, not just 1, but 2. So viewer discretion is advised. This is that recorded call.
Okay, I've been going to hell for the past few months, and I know you don't care, but I've been going to hell, Nathan, and I'm tired. I'm tired. But anyway, she starved him to the point where it killed him. And she never called the cops or the ambulance. She starved him so much that she killed him, bro. And then she didn't call the ambulance. She didn't call the police. She didn't try and make up a story to tell them, oh, well, he passed away. I never told you because I didn't think I could trust you. You don't know what I had to do. And I'm really trusting you not to go back and tell her this. She literally had me buy a trash can, dude, and keep him in there for a month. And then after that, she literally had me buy a saw to cut his open and disintegrate the body, dude. This messing with my head. I'm keep having nightmares since I've been back here. I had to watch his body burn.
Hello, my name is Holly. Welcome to the Murder She Shed, the place we discuss rarely told true crime, usually right from my she shed. But it's cold outside and, well, we didn't want to go outside. So today I'm filming in my theater room upstairs. So you get to see that environment and Beauty in the background. Beauty's moving out of frame. Sorry. He was almost Beauty in the background. I'd like to ask you to subscribe. It's hard for a nerdy girl to get anywhere in this big YouTube world. And me and Simon, well, we'd really appreciate it, wouldn't we, Simon? We would. Oh, see, he says, please. Look at him up on his knees. I know you can't see it, but he's sitting here begging y'all up on his knees. I mean, you got to hit a subscribe button if a dog begs you like that, right? Let me take you through the dark history of the evil monster mom, Avantae Deven. Avantae was a licensed foster parent from 2007-2013 through a nonprofit called Grandfather Home. Grandfather Home records from 11 years ago indicate there was no concern for Avantae to adopt. So in 2013, she became a licensed adoptive parent. Avantae then adopted 5 children, some with special needs. Blake went into foster care in 2011 because of abuse allegations. Both Blake and London was adopted by Avantae in 2013. London was one of Avantae's adopted children with special needs. London was 10 years older than Blake. Cheris Deven was also another child that Avantae adopted. Remember that name because she will come back into our story in a very big way. Avantae declined post-adopt services after she adopted the children. Post-adoption services include support groups, education, social and cultural activities, camps, therapists, and medical resources. Just a way to help the parents after they adopt. But I suppose she didn't want the adoption agency to check in on her after she adopted all these kids, so she declined these services. Avantae was also taking care of her 95-year-old mother, who had a brain injury that happened under Avantae's care. Avantae divorced her husband in 2006. Her ex-husband claims that when they were married, he saw Avantae hide a lockbox behind some sheetrock. When he looked inside the box, there were multiple identifications from birth certificates, 3 birth certificates to be exact, 3 driver's license, and 3 social security cards with 3 different names on those cards. He saw Avantae Deven's picture on different IDs under 3 different names. He said it shocked him and he wasn't sure what to believe. But Avantae had a history of changing her name. She's been an alias under like 10 different names. She tries to scam every way she can. Through these adopted kids, she was able to scan the system once more. She didn't care anything about these kids. She cared about money. At some point, her husband's half-sister, Tiffany, moved in with the couple before they got their divorce. Tiffany said that she was 18 when she moved in with them. She said Avantae would beat her up, lock her in a closet. She would starve her and drag her around by the hair. All this was done before Avantae had even been allowed to adopt children. And somehow she was allowed to foster and adopt children. After Avantae adopted the children, she had allegedly been homeschooling all these children. And she registered the school with the state under the name Deven Academy. The homeschooling program was noted to have a religious affiliation and was established in Buncombe County back in 2007. Deven Academy, in addition to numerous addresses, had 6 different phone number changes since first registering in 2007. Which doesn't surprise you how many names she actually changed, that she would change her address and she would move a lot and change phone numbers. She was pretending like she was a billion different people, apparently. Just a regular old scam artist, I suppose. In 2015, the Deven family moved to Fayetteville. She started the homeschool so she could hide their abuse. Avantae would lock the children in small, cramped spaces that were in complete darkness. The children would be forced to use the bathroom in plastic containers. The children were fed very little food or drinks. In order to earn food privileges, the children were forced to do paperwork, as she called it, which consists of writing hundreds and frequently thousands of sentences and paragraphs apologizing for some of their misdeeds they had supposedly done, like for stealing food because they were starving to death. She would beat the children to the point of they needed medical care, but would only apply things she deemed as natural cures, like applying honey to open wounds. This way, she could avoid any need to see a doctor. Cherish said her adoptive mom would beat them with a curtain rod. Cherish resorted to hiding dog food in the heater vents in order to survive because she was so hungry. That's all she had to eat. And all the children were starving. She wouldn't feed any of them. She would put locks on all the kitchen cabinet and fridge doors so the children couldn't get into the food without asking permission. But then she rarely fed them, and they had to earn their rights to be able to eat. A basic need they could not have. She's getting paid all this money from the state, and yet she's not feeding these children. Not only was their food withheld, their drinks were withheld, but also they were very seldom allowed to take a shower. They couldn't clean themselves. They had to be dirty, go around dirty. Later part of 2017, 10-year-old Blake's health began to deteriorate because of isolation, starvation, physical, mental, and emotional torture this woman put on him. He became lethargic and eventually lost consciousness. He starved to death because she would not feed this little boy. And although the siblings begged her to call the ambulance, she refused. She wasn't going to try to help Blake. She just let him die. Avantae then developed a plan to hide this little boy's remains until she could permanently dispose of him. She allegedly forced Cherish to purchase equipment from a local store to use to dismember his body. It's alleged that Deven then incinerated Blake's little body in a burn barrel in the backyard of the home, and that she had Cherish move any evidence from the home that would lead back to the murder of this child. So she not only murdered this child, but she got her adoptive children involved in this process. It's just disturbing. Cherish had to help dismember this little boy. After all this went down, they had hid all the evidence. Avantae told Cherish that if this ever gets found out, you need to take the blame because I will get the death penalty. And because of your age, you won't get in trouble if you take the blame. After this, Cherish decided to run away from home. When she returned, London was missing. She was told by Avantae that London had been put in a mental institution. There was, however, an incident report filed at the police department that June of 2019 was the last time that London Deven had been seen by the family. The authorities were told she was believed to have run away from home, but she was considered an adult by the time she had been reported missing. So the police were not as concerned since she was not a minor. In January 2023, Fayetteville, North Carolina police received a call from 63-year-old Avantae Deven, letting him know that her adopted son, 17-year-old Blake Deven, had ran away to a Buddhist retreat a year ago, and she had not seen him since.
All right. Tell me exactly what happened.
No, I need to file a missing persons report.
All right.
So it's time to call 911.
Alrighty. Yes, ma'am. And tell me exactly who's missing.
He'll be 18 May 10th.
So your 17-year-old son is missing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I need to get your son's description, starting with his race. Is he white, black, Asian, Hispanic?
Yes, he is white. Caucasian with blondish brown hair.
What was he last seen wearing?
Oh, goodness. I don't even know, ma'am. He told me he was going to a Buddhist retreat and never called back.
When was that, ma'am?
A year ago.
So when he was 16, he told you he was going to a...
No. I called a year ago. He was already 17. He just turned 17, I believe.
You called it a year ago. When did this happen, ma'am?
I'm calling now.
I understand.
It happened. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I understand you're calling now. What I'm trying to determine is when he told you he was going on a Buddhist retreat and never came home.
It was a year ago.
So January 19th, 2023?
It was somewhere around there, a little before. It was on the holidays, I would say December. It was between Thanksgiving and December.
So he was 16 at the time because his birthday's in May, correct?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Do you think he is a runaway?
I think so, but he is generally religious, and he used to go back and forth about a Buddhist retreat and meditation, things like that, but this time he never called back. And my daughter did that once for 6 months, and she called, so I thought, okay. It's hard. He's very independent, high-strung, and very bossy, so it's not very unlikely of his character, but yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am, what was your question? I'm very upset here.
Oh, I understand you're very upset. Do you think he's a runaway?
I would say so, yes.
So, where was he at when he went missing? Was he at Marydale address, or where was he located when he was missing?
I don't know where he called me from. I have no idea, to be honest with you, ma'am.
Okay, where was the last place he was seen?
Oh, goodness. I would say a restaurant.
What
I was trying to think what's going on. One moment now. I'm trying to backtrack here. Oh, gosh. Oh, the neighborhood mart.
A neighborhood mart?
Yes.
When did you last see him?
I believe when I told you during those holiday times, about a year and a half ago.
So, what holiday time?
The last holiday between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Around
2023 or 2022?
Oh, goodness gracious. 22.
Okay. Do you have a good phone number for your son?
No, I don't. I don't have any phone number.
Okay. Do you have the number he called you from?
Oh, goodness, that was a long time ago. I don't have that number. No, I don't even have that phone.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Alrighty, ma'am. So, I will have officers out to you as soon as possible.
Avantae felt she had no choice but to report her son Blake missing after police had actually come to her house in November of 2022 because another one of her adopted sons was having a mental health crisis. The son had called 911 threatening to kill himself. While there, Avantae's son told police that he hadn't seen his brother Blake for years, and the last time he did, he had had a broken arm. She knew since her son had told that to police, she would have to report him missing. But still, she waited another 2 months before she told authorities that Blake was missing. Apparently, during those 2 months, when the state began asking too many questions, she had prompted another person to pretend like he was Blake during a DSS visit. Avantae had told Cherish by this point that London had also died and she needed help hiding the evidence of that. Avantae and Cherish then tore up the carpet and all evidence was disposed of by Cherish. Cherish was told by Avantae to take the evidence to a secluded area and burn everything. Investigators recovered surveillance video of Avantae with the 2 remaining adopted children in her care at an area Walmart purchasing a red cooler in which London's remains were put into after her death. Eventually, London's body was then put in that same metal burn barrel as Blake's had been put in and incinerated too. So both sets of remains were found by authorities 6 months after this 911 call about Blake's disappearance. Even though London was an adult, she had special needs and she depended on Avantae to care for her. She is believed to have died in the same painful way, the same painful, callous manner that Blake died from, starvation and neglect. During a search of their home in Fayetteville, detectives and FBI agents recovered biological and physical evidence from an upstairs bathroom, which makes me want to say they found some evidence of where they dismembered the bodies. In this tub, they'd been in the bathroom, possibly dismembering the bodies. There was video, testimonial, physical, and written evidence of the abuse, torture, and starvation at the hands of this awful, evil monster, Avantae. The state allows $700 to $800 a month in adoption assistance fund. If they are special needs kids like London was, then they would receive additional payment. It's unclear if Avantae was receiving funds after police say her children died. Because it's an ongoing investigation, authorities declined to answer that. As you can see, although Avantae was starving her children, she clearly ate to her heart's content. Apparently, she ate like a pig while these children died from starvation. Sometime after Avantae's arrest, Nathan saw this case on the news and realized he had recorded this call that Cherish had made to him talking about the dismemberment of these children. Can you imagine the guilt you feel thinking that this was a fake story so it's so crazy and yet it had been real and then children were still sitting at the home getting abused because you didn't just turn that recording in? That would bother me so bad. Avantae is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of destroying a body or remains, concealing an unnatural death, intentional child abuse inflicting serious bodily injury, negligent child abuse inflicting serious bodily injury, and kidnapping. It may have been years after these children were murdered that she is facing punishment, but her evil deeds have finally caught up with her, and I hope she rots in prison. I hope she gets everything she got and more. Cherish has not been arrested in her part of covering up the evidence and disposing of these children's bodies. I suppose authorities believe she was a victim of Avantae's too, since she was a minor at the time that these crimes actually occurred. Cherish has recently came forward talking about her part in the crime.
But he was malnourished.
He was very malnourished.
Describe what he looked like.
Very skinny. You could see bones almost. Like, we both were that way. Everyone was, except for the 2 youngest. I was in the room when he took his last breath.
You were there when he took his last breath?
Yes. I was banging on the door, and I said, he's not breathing. Something's wrong.
Deven says she tried telling her mother what was happening, even an hour before that moment when Blake seemed off.
And she wouldn't listen to me. She said, oh, he's faking it.
She says she begged for Avantae Deven to call an ambulance, but still nothing, and it was too late.
Does that moment replay in your mind? I'm looking at you right now, and you're looking at me, but I can tell you're not. I feel like you're looking in the past a little bit.
Yeah, I am. Because it's very emotional for me. It's hard to deal with that, and people don't understand. People don't get that. And they just want to keep hating and hating and hating on someone that went through trauma as themselves.
That last part there, that's the only reason she agreed to interview with WRAL Investigates. Charis Deven says the online criticism and the hate, it became too much, especially comments about how she could have intervened.
They're so quick to judge, oh, why didn't you report? Or, you could have helped the situation. How do you expect me to help when I'm being locked in the room myself? The only time I get out to go in public is if I'm checking the mailbox or I'm doing something for Ava. I was being used like a little puppet. I'm glad that she's behind bars. She needs to be where she deserves to be.
Blake and London Deven, may you rest in peace. Awful story, and I'm glad that this woman, this monster that doesn't deserve to be called a mom, was finally caught, and that hopefully she gets what she deserves after all these years of trying to hide this murders. It's just awful. Anyway, guys, I'm going to tell you guys bye, and I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. Probably by the time I get this out, the weekend will be up. I don't know. Anyway, Simon's here to tell y'all bye. He's been waiting all this time to say bye to you guys, and so he's so ready to. We love y'all, and see you next time at the Murder She Shed.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the one